Hello, my name is Tom Dunn. I'm publisher of Port Hueneme News, and I'm putting together a 60-minute video, much like 60 Minutes on TV. And what we're going to talk about is the issue and problems that Oxnard and Port Hueneme are having with the homeless and with the Ormond Beach Conservatory and Sanctuary for various birds and animals. With me is Lang Martinez. Welcome, Lang.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Lang is a Oxnard resident, and he was homeless here for a number of years ago, and but he has been clean, working out on his own, and for how long? Almost a year now, Lang?
Well, going on, I got released from a program about 9 months ago, so it's a little over 9 months now. I'm going on 12 months sober.
I really appreciate you coming to discuss this. I know it's very personal, but also I was thinking in putting this report together, there's been a lot of things done by cities, and some good, some bad, but it's awfully slow moving. And I thought, what better than to talk to somebody who's been there and done that and can explain to us what it's like, what the people think, what would they like to be done, and what has the cities done wrong, and what can they do to do it right. So what I would like to do is ask you a little bit about yourself right now, and then we're going to get into a couple issues of your experiences.
Well, since I got released from a program acting in Los Angeles, I came back, and the gentleman that I talk about when I speak to council, he's a business owner that lives across the street from Plaza Park, where I was homeless, and I used to hang out in the back alley. And one day he came outside because he saw me out there, and he asked me to come in if I was hungry. I told him, yeah, of course. And I came inside his office. He had a box of donuts, and I said, "Sir, do you have a napkin?" He said, "No, that's okay." He said, "You could have the whole box." And I was glad to get those donuts. I'm not going to lie to you. I think there was 24 of them. And he asked me what I was doing. He said he's seen me out there every day. And I told him, I was honest with him. I was trying to tell him that I needed help. I needed to get into a program. And we talked for a while. And I told him that, I was familiar with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I also worked in recovery. And I told him that I've had sobriety 3 times, 5 years. And he asked me what happened this time. And I shared a little bit about that story, and he said, "What do you need to do now?" And I said, "I've lost my direction. I need to get back a foundation, and I need to get into a rehabilitation to get some stability. And I just can't go to meetings, and I can't do this out here on the streets. I have to get somewhere." So what happened is I would get on that gentleman's phone, and I'd make phone calls, and then I'd wait for him to come in the morning, and he'd bring me something to eat, and I'd go in his office and start making calls. I started working on the Ventura County area, and I already tried those resources before I got on his phones, and it didn't work out too well for me. George published that in one of the stories, on where I was reaching out to the Ventura County as far as getting the help I needed. I reached out to one of their 12-step programs, and it's a shame that with all the money that Ventura County has, there's only one facility, a 12-step facility, and that's on the avenue. It's called Kepra. And in order to get in that facility, you have to call them, you do an assessment, and what's happened is chances are you have an Obama phone, and what they do is they direct you to call every morning at 8 o'clock to try to get a bed. And if you get a bed, that'd be for the detox, and they'll keep you there 7 or 10 days. But the problem is if you do get in, is after you do that time, they don't have a bed available for you to get in the actual program. So once again, you're put back out on the streets.
Let me ask you, you had a reason why this happened, and the others have a reason. What are the cause of most of these people being homeless?
Well, for me, and I would have to say most of us is that, it starts somewhere early in childhood. It talks about the things that have happened, the things that have been done to us. It starts with being traumatized at an early age. When we're young, we hear about the God concept. We hear about this kind, loving man. And some of us in our families went to church like I did. I went to a parochial school, but these things would happen to me at home, and I was confused. God, these things are happening to me. How can there be a God, And, I was abused. I didn't find out who my real father was until I was 11. The man that was my father is my dad. He did the best he could. But there was confusion going on, and, that happened all through my childhood.
How typical is that among the homeless population?
It's very typical. I would say more than 90%. There's something there's a cause and effect to why we do what we do, and when that happens, the underlying thing is there's definitely something mental that's going on, that causes what we do, as far as the addictions and stuff like that.
With the homeless that you've been around, what are they thinking? Some of them just there starting, others been there quite a while. But what's their train of thought of why they're there?
I can answer the train of their thought is that I use the term as this: is they're comfortable sitting in their own diarrhea, a son of diarrhea, and they're not willing to look at the 2 steps to the right to step out of it, and they get comfortable doing what they do.
It's a mindset sort of they get into where that's easier to deal with than society. Is that correct?
Yeah, they don't want to take accountability. They don't want to take responsibility. I was one of them. There's a term I use. It's called poor me syndrome, PMS. Poor me. Why me? Feel sorry for me. Look at me. I'm on attention, and then when they do ask for it, it's that not so much for to get the help, but when they ask for something, it's usually for a hand up. Whether it's a meal or $1 or just somebody to show some sympathy on them. Then we're not grateful for that. Not at all.
They tend to like that more than actually going through trying to get help, and all that incurs in some cases, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, most of them out there don't have. I was out in Plaza Park 4th of July, and when they see me, they're proud of me. And they tell me how much love. But see, they don't ask me how I did it. They read the stories, and it's a lot of work that goes into it. If you want this, it's a fight on a daily basis. It's about accepting. It's accepting what we've done to ourselves and taking accountability and being responsible. The homeless, caught up in their disease, whether it's a mental state, addiction state, alcoholism, they don't want to take accountability or responsibility. They make that decision. We make that decision to live like that. Some of us get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that's what happened for me. But I would say 90% of them, maybe more, they're not there yet, and they probably won't be, and they'll end up dying like that. That's a fact.
That's a really difficult thing to deal with for the average person, for even the politicians. So going to that way, I'd like to ask you 2 things.
Sure.
What do cities do wrong, and what should they do in your opinion? So first of all, what have they been doing that's wrong, that doesn't help people? I believe that they're not doing enough, but then again, they are doing enough because there are resources available. It might not be what we want or what we choose, but it's better than the way that we're living. In one of the articles I did with George, I talk about utilizing the system, the hospitals, Hillmont, stuff like that, trying to get into a 12-step program. And it's funny that I didn't want to go to the Mission that was a quarter mile down the street, and they have beds available today. So there is mental health. There is programs. You can go through referrals. Right now, you can get into the Armory, and that's been taken over by Mercy. They have what they call they're called wraparound services through Ventura County Mental Health right now, and I understand that they're there doing assessments, and they're trying to do something with these people. See, the problem is that. We talked about the moment of clarity, but see, when that comes, you want to reach out and you say, help me, and then, we're not there, but it's not like we have a responsibility to be there 24 hours. They're doing an assessment out there. They've already done it, and, they're bringing in resources and finding out what their needs are, what they can do and stuff like that.
I kind of disagree with it. I kind of disagree with the assessment because we already know what to assess, and believe us, being out on the streets, we know everything we know everything and anything that we can utilize to get us help, and we know everything and anything that could definitely benefit us, like the food stamps or anything like that. You know, so going out there and telling them something they don't already know, that's they know. They know that the mission's right down the street, especially in Oxnard. They know about Kemper. The women know about prototypes, and you know what? There is that 12-step program. Was it I could have gone to the mission. So am I mad at that? Should there be more 12-step programs? Yeah, there should be. I think that laws need to change. I think they should spend more time in jail. I think the system should put in place that there is mandatory programs with a suspended sentence. You know, that either you do this program or you go to jail or you go to prison. You know, I believe, I wasn't myself. The homeless are not accountable. They don't want any responsibility. You know, they don't. That's the truth.
What would be the best way to, forget the programs, but just
Sure.
to set up communication with the homeless, especially the encampment at Ormond Beach?
Sure.
How do you get them to even listen or want to talk to an official? Or is it possible?
Well, you know, it's they just did an assessment. They just did an assessment, and I wasn't. I was privy to it, but I was busy. And what happened is they assessed 49 people, and they did a preliminary report. As far as what they saw as percentages, and with that preliminary report, they interviewed 49. They did an assessment on 49 people, and it came back. I think it said 23% addict, alcoholic, 3% needed program. The problem with that is that those people aren't going to tell you the truth. You know, after I saw that, I got a little bit upset how it was handled. But what happened is I shot over to the rescue mission in Oxnard, and I talked to the pastor. I said, "This is wrong," and he said, "No, it's not wrong, Lang. We went out there to get the information, and this is the information that they gave to us." You know, I went out there July 4th, and I did an assessment with a gentleman that Saves Raphael. He works with Gold Coast. He works with the veterans, and he does articles in I think the Acorn, and he does stuff for us. This is Journal, and we were out there, and our assessment was this: that 80+% suffered from drug or alcohol addiction, 80+% need to be in a rehabilitation center, minimum 90 days or more. Our assessment was that 40+% need some type of medical detoxification. You know, you're dealing with the benzos, the opiates, the alcohol. I mean, you die from the DTs, you die from the benzos. The opiates, as far as the heroin, that type of stuff. You know what? It's better if they rough it through. They're not going to die. But the benzos and the alcohol, you definitely have to have some type of medical detox. The methamphetamines you usually sleep off. You know, but once you get some sleep, you need to get an assessment by a facilitator as far as mental health and try to help them deal with that psychosis. That was my assessment. Now, to hit this part is on their assessment, it said that only 14, or I don't have the exact number, you know, that had mental health issues. Well, the fact is, if I'm out there and I saw 80+% that have an addiction or an addiction or alcoholism, etc., well, all 80% plus have some type of mental issues, because that's the underlying problem.
When you decide to take that avenue, you're not thinking correctly.
No.
And it's got to be such a tough job to do. I heard about the assessment. The lady who is running the Save Ormond Beach 2019
Right.
is talking to those people.
Right.
There's going to be various meetings in Oxnard that we'll be attending.
Right.
There is a major meeting July 31st in Oxnard. We'll keep you updated on where it's going to be, and it's going to discuss all of this. And I really hope that information that you have, information that I gather, can get the people on the right track to help these people, if it's possible. Also, you mentioned that you had a 4-part article in Citizens Journal. I know George, the publisher there, and so if you go on the internet and look up Citizens Journal, you'll find Mr. Martinez and his articles that really give you an insight that you can't imagine. And so we're going to do everything we can to make it work. And I just hope it does. Thank you very much, Lang.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.